r/AskWomen. In a dream state says, when have you experienced misogyny from other women? Lurk mode off says, when I was 12 to 13 my mother said to me during an argument, you must be about to get your first period because you're being a real biatch. Didn't actually get there for another 3 to 4 years. Thanks mom. Hobie says, I think a great many boomer and elder jenks, aka boomer light, carry residual misogynistic tendencies from their lived experience when that was completely normal. My mother, 67, is incredibly misogynistic to the point she told me I had to accept unwanted comments and touches from men because it's just the way it is when I was in my 30s. Her entire life is still wrapped up in patriarchal ideas and misogyny. My stepdad retired 15 years ago while she worked full time over an hour away, yet she would get home and still cook and serve him dinner up until she retired last year. She recently told me she's wanted an inside dog her whole life, but my stepdad won't let her, so she's never had one at almost 70. Open bracket. PR0 procrastinated says, when talking about sexuality, because I enjoy sex and don't need it to be in a context where I have a connection. When I talk about situations where I was harassed at Halloween. Suliko says, I grew up in it and still deal with it almost on a daily basis. Hozad Edbadi says, my religious grandmother lived with us during my formative years. Most of the lectures she gave me were about how I needed to improve myself, so I would be appealing to men. When I was 8. Bootlessagaro says, anytime anyone said anything about me having a one-step skincare routine and not wearing makeup/having my nails done. I don't understand it. We all wake up without makeup. Why the hell should I get done up to go out with yins? You should know better than anyone else that there is imperfect skin under your makeup too. I don't need to be called weird for not liking the way having my nails done or my makeup done feels just because you want us all to go home with someone tonight. Or anytime I've been called unladylike, like what the frick, Cheryl, Rosie didn't rivet for us to wear clothes we can't use our bodies in, or for us to generally not use our bodies? Thadjulagain 17 says, I worked with this woman in her late 40s, and I was in my early 20s. I think she had this chip on her shoulder, because I was in a higher position than her, and a lot of what she said/did was because of that. I would wear pencil skirts to work, and she would say she couldn't believe my boyfriend let me dress like that. I dressed business casual, nothing inappropriate, but the skirts did hug my butt. I didn't wear makeup, and she would tell me I looked tired and should take some pride in my appearance. One time I mentioned my boyfriend packed my lunch that, and she made the biggest deal out of it. She said I was going to lose him if I didn't take care of him and let him be a man. My BF was unemployed and did all of the housework and cooked all the meals. I thought her head might explode when I told her that. It was really funny. Alt Black General says, my own mother. I was 18 and in my second relationship. We have a pretty open relationship. Somehow I ended up sharing that I had sex with him, and she told me to be careful because having sex with two people was a lot for an 18-year-old. Noonme says, from the older women in my boyfriend's family lol. Excluding his lovely mom. I wear light makeup, eyeliner, lip tint, a few flicks of a macro eyebrow pencil to cover some sparse areas. No lashes, concealer, or foundation. They always point out makeup as an insecure thing or something beautiful girls don't need. They do this indirectly, like to each other, or to a kid niece who compliments my makeup. They also know I live an active lifestyle, to which they say in passing, if I'm in a long-term relationship who cares about working out. I get to relax. I'm not trying to impress people at the grocery store, but everyone in my family is an active or outdoorsy person. It feels natural for me to be active. They are all homebodies, so they live differently, but I would never poke fun at that. but they make my exercising about trying to impress strangers when it's honestly just a hobby. r/AskWomen. Coastal says, what is a major shift have you experienced in the way you feel, act and think that was pretty noticeable to you? Quit Professional 5437 says, yep. After my grandma died I realized who my real friends were and who unexpectedly was there for me. I will forever have those that were there for me in my heart. It's a different type of connection. You don't realize who people really are until something catastrophic happens. Affectionate ad 3816 says, turned 28, female is that matters, and went from 100% child free to my uterus wanting a baby right now. Witty Cheesecake 2118 says, once I became more accepting of myself the more self-aware I became, and it's been super noticeable. I've been self-aware nearly my whole life it seems, and the elevation in self-awareness I've experienced as I became more accepting and learning to love myself is taking me for a spin. The more I do the work with this raised self-awareness, the more it's launching me into a complete shift in my drive for life purpose. My soul is rejecting me continuing to do things that don't align with my path, and it's basically making me make choices that need to be made. All of it good and necessary, but would have never done had I not had this shift into a more intense state of self-awareness. Hey, it's Iagirl1234 says, me and boyfriend of 5 years split up very abruptly. This led to me starting therapy and doing a ton of growing and self-reflection, where I realized I was perpetually in long-term relationships because I was afraid to be alone. Then, all of a sudden once I was truly alone, no partner, in my own apartment, I realized I kind of love being alone. I'm one of my favorite people to hang out with. I now have scheduled time for me to spend with just me, myself and I. My partner also did therapy/soul searching, and we ended up back together and now we are engaged, but sometimes I'll just be honest and say I love you, but you gotta leave me alone lol. Adorkm says, caring less what others think and realizing a lot of embarrassing/awkward things actually don't matter and no one cares. I used to care way too much and was self-conscious all the time. Now I mostly feel at ease going out and being by myself and am much less scared of talking to people, though some parts of it haven't gone away. Theswilter Miracle says, I have always been the odd one out. I tried so hard to fit in and never really did. I don't really care anymore. I dress how I want and like what I want. If I dress like an 80 years old then so be it. It's what I like. Do I have grandma hobbies? I sure do. I keep adding to them too. Bars don't seem like a fun time to me. I'd rather find a knitting group. I don't care if men find me attractive. I don't want them bothering me. I want to feel comfortable in my body, whether I'm 125 pounds or 230 pounds, or have short or long hair. If I don't, then I will change what I want to. I'm tired of caring. Cheddar Kisachita says, the shift from being insecure to literally not giving a frick what anyone else thinks about me. I don't know when it happened, but it was sometime in the last 3 years as I transitioned from my 20s to my 30s and became a mother. Irritated Mango says, I don't take crap from people as much. Toasted Beans 9616 says, based on my current relationship, I realize that I was not as thoughtful in my word choice and attitude while angry beforehand. I'm so much more considerate now because I try to value his opinions/thoughts since he gives me that same energy. Changed how I fight when we do fight for the better. Small 33 says, after having 3 miscarriages in a year I noticed that I shifted from being a pretty optimistic person to a realist. I still try to always look on the bright side, but I know all too well that there isn't always a bright side to be found. This occurred years ago, and I still am very much a realist. r/AskWomen. Stark says, what's the last thing you procrastinated? How long did you put it off for, and how long did doing the task actually take you? Just One Cat says, doing my income tax. I'm almost 1 year late. I can usually do it myself, but it's become more complicated, so I've been procrastinating. I've accepted that I have to pay for a tax place to do it, but still haven't sent the papers in. Heratharivary9 says, I had thousands of photos from traveling for several years and had a list of photo books I wanted to make, country by country. Broke it down into a list of books to be made, then figured out the steps including backing all my data up, organizing everything into folders. I think I cleaned my home office out as part of this project as well. Then got a TV tray to set my laptop up in the living room so I could slowly work away at the books while watching TV and hanging out. I'm almost done. I've done about 9 books and it's been on my to-do list / New Year's resolution for a solid 3 years. Feels so frigging good. And I forgot about some just absolutely incredible moments that have been fun to relive. PS. Gentle reminder to back up your data. Pancake Queen 13 says, I decided to write a book over 15 years ago. It took me until last year to actually finish it, after having had 75% of it written and sitting on it for about 5 years since I last wrote. Smoothie Fruit says, I've been putting off contacting Wayfair about the coffee table I ordered 2.5 months ago. I had a 3-minute phone call and it was here in 2 days. Darkv420 says, thank you for reminding me. I need to set a reminder to call pharmacy to renew the recipe I forgot to pick up before it expired yesterday. Kazima Payne says, cleaning my baby's room. She doesn't use it yet, so I just dumped stuff in there till I had time to organize. Took 15 minutes after procrastinating for a couple of months. Hoobly says, well, I'm supposed to be working right now, and yet here I am. I'm going to put it off till Monday. How long the project will ultimately take remains to be seen. Charming Tortoise says, 7 years. Still have that pergo flooring that we keep meaning to put down. Morsaludge says, calling orthodontic offices for consults. Only took me 5 minutes to set up appointments. Wear your retainers, kids. My dumbest didn't, and now I have slight speech impediment. Wonderful Stomach 80 says, have also contemplated the PMP certification for the past year. Just now scheduling it for the end of next month, lol. Artemi Ice says, some lab reports. I always procrastinate those because I know I can finish them quickly, and during the semester there are way more pressing issues, like actually studying the material, solving exercises, handing in homework, and producing recipe type assignments that take a lot of time. It took me 2 days for 8 lab reports. But as I said, I always plow through them very quickly once I get to them. Want Chocolate says, I've got 10 minutes worth of dishes that have been sitting in my sink for almost a week now. King Flippers says, well, I'm in grad school and have a paper technically due tomorrow that I haven't started yet. In my defense, it's because I had an exam today. Tjermkvason says, embarrassing. I waited until the column I write for my neighborhood newsletter was 1 week overdue to write it. It took maybe a half hour. In my shitty defense, the editor doesn't care and always gets it out much later than I turn it in. She doesn't gaff. For those who are curious, the column is about sustainable / conservation practices for the suburban homeowner / renter. I try to get my neighbors to mow less, that sort of thing. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.